Hello, this is Greg Gillis, also known as Girl Talk, and this is Ask a Grown Man for Rookie Magazine. The first question comes from Kat from Dallas, who's 18 years old. She says, recently my friends have labeled me as judgmental. Multiple times, secrets about what they do with drugs and sex are shared to everyone in my friend group except me. While I was with one of them actually said, quote, I want her to close her ears because I know she's going to judge me, end quote. I don't really do drugs or have sex, but I don't know how I got the reputation of judging everybody. I feel like I'm not trusted like the others are. How do you deal with people mislabeling you and misunderstanding you? I think people misunderstanding you is something that will happen through your whole life when you're young and old, and I think it's something that will always be there. I think when you are younger, potentially in high school, the way I remember it was that oftentimes, small things can trigger a reputation. So it could have been something small like the tone of your voice or maybe an expression on your face or whatever. And I think once people grab onto a certain identity for an individual, that might stick with them for a while. So, it could have been something subtle that you just didn't even notice, something that was just in your mannerisms, something that you weren't trying to be judgmental, but maybe people interpreted that way. So I think with this, since it's your friends, I think you really just need to get to the source of the problem and find out, which of your friends are feeling this way, or if someone's actually, at the root of this and kind of causing rumors about you or talking about you behind your back, and just talk to them and make sure that it's clear that you are not trying to be judgmental, and despite your actions, other times people will project that onto you possibly based on them feeling guilty about something they're doing, and the fact that you're not partaking in those activities. They might project those feelings onto you and call you judgmental because they're feeling a certain way about themselves. But either way, I think it's just important to make it clear to your friends that you're not trying to be judgmental and you're not trying to make them feel weird or, look down on them in any way. And, I think that's just a thing with any friends where it's important to just keep the lines of communication open and make sure people are clear about the way you feel about them. The next question is from Chris. She says, I've been with my boyfriend for a little over 3 months. He's very nice and respectful, and I feel more at ease with him than I have with any other guy. My question is it bad to tell him that I have a history with anorexia and depression? I'm at a way better place than I used to be, and I feel completely comfortable talking to and helping others when it comes to recovering. But I don't want to freak him out. Oftentimes eating disorders seem to be confusing to those who haven't had them. So what do guys/me think about eating disorders? If I should tell him, how? Sincerely, Chris. I think that's a very difficult question, and I think it kind of comes down to the individual. Like, I think if it's someone you truly trust and feel comfortable with, then I think you should be open to talking about any of those topics, depression or anorexia, with him. But just make sure that you're at that level and that he's at that level with you. And I think with topics like that, I think when it's on your mind and you want to talk to someone else about it, sometimes people have a tendency to unload it all. But it is the sort of thing where you could ease into it a little bit and work your way up to it, and doesn't all have to happen in one conversation. So I don't think there's any harm in kind of feeling it out and approaching those subjects and seeing how he feels about it. And, you don't know the relationship he's had with those things, with himself or with other people he's been close to. So, it's a really tough question to answer just because it is really based on individuals. But in general, if it's someone that you are very comfortable with and close with, then ideally you would be able to talk to them about these issues at some point. But I think it's just about finding out that right time and place, and I think that's something that it will come from the two of you and not just you or him. This next question is from Leora in Long Island. And she asks, is it okay to not always constantly keep in touch with a friend, like constant text, email, Snapchats, etc., but still be super close friends in person? That's a difficult question for me to answer because I think it changes for different ages. I think the way that you and your friends use technology is probably very different than the way me and my friends use the same technology. So I can't say that a lot of my good friends and I don't email that often or don't text that often, and we're fine and close, and it works out okay. But I'm sure there's different standards for different ages, so it might be really weird to be close to someone and text as much as me and my friends do if you were 12 years old. So I don't know how old you are, maybe in high school, maybe a teen, but yeah, it's a difficult question because I think the standards do change depending on your age. So I would say if you feel like your friendship is being strained because you're not Snapchatting enough, then please Snapchat away. Roz, who is 17 years old, says, I have a crush on a guy, but every time I talk to him, we only talk about baseball. Don't get me wrong, I love baseball, but how do I get him to like me as a real person and not just the only girl he can talk to about sports? Thanks, Roz. Well, Roz, I think people have their social go-tos with all their friends. I know I definitely do have certain friends that the same topics come up often when I see them, and those are the topics I like talking to them about. And I think a lot of people are kind of scared of those awkward silences or those moments where topics come up with strained conversation or anything like that. So I don't think of it as too big of a negative. I think if anything, at least you have your foot in the door and you have a topic that you guys both like talking about, and I think that's a positive if you want to move forward with the relationship. I think it's natural too. I think when you meet someone, you're going to focus on certain things a little bit more than others. So I think from here, it's just important to start branching out a little bit and start, just bringing up other topics in subtle ways and start working that in the conversation. It doesn't have to be a big thing or one giant conversation. It just can be daily, just bringing up different things that shared interests. If you guys have class together or anything else that you guys think you might like together, or even if you potentially can even go do an activity or a date or go out to eat or see a movie or anything like that. Those are other things that you can be talking about. So I think if you go to eat with him and go out and watch a movie, I would guess most likely you wouldn't be talking about baseball the entire time. You would be talking about the movie or what you're eating or anything like that. So I think it's just about small steps and not being too worried about it, because like I said, I think it's a good thing that you guys are at least friends and able to talk about something. But just branch out and see how it goes and figure out what other similar topics that you guys like to talk about. So good luck, Roz.